This session would be one of the most important sessions in our Excel 101 class, auditing and reviewing cells and links. These tips will come in especially handy when you are auditing your own financial model that you have built, and also when you're reviewing financial models built by other colleagues or other analysts, bankers, and so on. The first function that we want to introduce is the F2 function. So ordinarily, the F2 function is to edit your cells, and as soon as you press F2, it's going to insert a blinking cursor inside the cells, and then now you can edit whatever data you want to fix. But this function is often used to review your links. For example, if you want to review and see if gross profit is properly linked to revenue minus cost of goods sold, you can simply press on the F2 key, and it colors the cells that are linked, so you can visually directly see where gross profit is linked to. So many analysts in real practice, like a habit, sometimes just meaninglessly just presses F2 escape, F2 escape, just to become much more comfortable about your links and just assuring that you have not made any mistakes in terms of linking your financial model. And that is one of the reasons why many financial modelers they remove the F1 key, the function 1 key, from their keyboards just to simply press the F2 key much more comfortably. Because on the other hand, if you accidentally press the F1 key, it's going to lead to something very, very time-consuming and very, very irritating. So F1 key is going to get you to the help function, which is actually not very helpful. So please remove the F1 key if you are using a full-size mechanical keyboard. But if you're using your laptop, it won't be necessary. Another method that you can review your financial model is to press the Control key and the left bracket simultaneously. So Control left bracket. As soon as you press it, it's going to highlight the cells that are precedent to this cell. So because gross profit is constitutes of revenue minus cost of goods sold, as soon as you press Control and the left bracket together, it shows where the formulas are coming from. So Control left bracket. For example, here as well on the revenue, we just simply brought revenue from the 8th row. So in this case, Control left bracket, the cell selection automatically jumps to the precedent cells. And this is even more handy if you have cells linked to other pages. For example, if you have linked this cell over here to a previous sheet, pressing Control left bracket would take you to that original cell. In this case, coming back to the original place, you could simply do it by pressing F5 and then pressing Enter. So Control left bracket to go to the precedent cells, F5 and then Enter to return to your original cell. So this is going to be used very, very often when you're reviewing your financial models, and especially if the links are linked to other sheets. There's an alternative way to do that, and this is a much more visualized way that you could trace your precedents. The shortcut would be Alt-M. M is for formula, and then P is to trace precedents. So as soon as you hit Alt-MP, it shows where your revenue is coming from. So it's just visually very easier to understand, and especially if you have links from the same sheet, this is much more, it would be a very better way to review your links. Again, Alt MP will show you where your links are coming from. On the other hand, if you want to trace where your cells are going to, so tracing your dependents would be to press Alt M and then D for dependents. So in this case, gross profit comes from revenue and cost of goods sold, and then it affects EBIT. So EBIT adds gross profit, SG&A, depreciation, and other operating expenses. So the arrows show where gross profit affects. And if you want to remove the arrows, the shortcuts would be Alt M AA for removing the arrows. So if you have a hard time remembering the shortcuts, because these shortcuts, well, they do not have really easy to memorize shortcuts that are designated. So Alt M for formulas, and then there are these three functions here: tracing precedence, tracing dependence, and then removing arrows. So Alt M P, Alt M P for tracing the precedence, Alt M D for the dependence, Alt M AA to remove all the arrows. So these functions combined with the control and left bracket, left large bracket, would be used very often. Sometimes, especially when you're linking to other cells, for example, like the previous case where we have linked from other sheets, in this case, the Alt M P function would not be really visually, easy to comprehend. So in this case, you have to click on the arrows, click on the destination, and then move towards that, precedent cell. So it's very, inefficient. So in these cases, when your cells are linked to other sheets, Control left bracket is a much more easier way to move around, and then F5 enter to come back. But if you have the data that are linked to the same sheets, Alt MP is a much more better option. And one last method of reviewing your financial models is to press on the Control key and this key over here. I have no idea how to call this key. I should know that, but anyways, it's next to your exclamation part. So it's right under the escape key. So as soon as you press the Control key and that shape all together, you will get the entire cell's formulas. You can just view the entire cell's formulas all at once. So if you're reviewing the whole entire sheet and trying to find out whether or not if something's wrongfully linked, this is also a very effective way to do that. And as soon as you press that, you can see that this show formulas button is clicked. If you press it again, now it's going to come back to the original state. So and this often happens when you're trying to press on Control 1, and if you're in a hurry, you accidentally press Control show formulas, and once you do this, the undo key, or even if you close your Excel file and then come back, it's not going to come back to the original state. So please remember that there was this kind of function that enabled you to show all the formulas at once. So Control key plus this whatever you call it shape. So this was our session on auditing and reviewing your financial models, and I hope that this video helped. And in our next session, we're going to learn how to make tables and filters and how to maneuver within the filters and tables by just using your keyboards.